Okay, what's up guys? I'm going to be doing a replay analysis on Proffesor Maple's Nocturne. This game has spectator mode, so it should be pretty easy to sort of figure out what went wrong, because you can see things around the map. So we're going to start at 4 times speed, I guess, because you don't really need to watch everything in super slow-mo, as it's not really important to get every single minor detail.
30 seconds until minions spawn.
So starting blue off, standard for Nocturne as normal. Having a quick look at their team, they have Master Yi jungle with no flash, so invading him would be pretty good. Pretty sure Nocturne beats Master Yi early game, but I mean, who played against? I've never really played against Master Yi, so it's hard for me to say.
Minions have spawned.
So hopefully you go blue and then you kill your red, and try and gank somewhere really quickly before you buy. That's the most standard kind of thing. And I want to stick on Nocturne. How do I do that? Nocturne. There we go. Now, quick thing, really minor thing here, is that you skip taking your red buff in favour of double golems, but you actually lose the same amount of HP taking double golems pretty much as you do taking your red buff, even if you don't have smite, because of your passive. You hit 3 things on the red buff, whereas you only hit 2 things on the double golems, and the double golems actually hit harder than the red buff. So that's the first thing you could actually improve on with your jungle route, is taking red buff is actually superior to taking double golems at pretty much any stage, so keep that in mind. So your top lane got first blood. Good for you. Almost died to red buff, but I mean it's okay. As long as you don't die, that's fine. You're recalling, picking up Ninja Tabai? Okay, that's respectable. I guess he doesn't have a lot of rating. Now, this is the point where you have a red buff, and judging by their team, you should know that top lane has no flash and the bottom lane has no flash. That's presuming that people have said something in chat, which they either say it in chat or you have enough map awareness to realise that they've got no flash. But here, a bottom lane gank would probably be really good, as they're pushed up really far, and it's Soraka Sivir, which can't really do a lot to sort of stop you from hitting either one of them, kind of thing. So, and Soraka as heal, that's a really big thing to notice, is heal Soraka bottom lane is free as kill for a red buff Nocturne early game, because they have no exhaust to stop you from doing anything. And when they have flash down as well, you should really be trying to get something down here bottom lane. It is a support Fiora, I guess. So I mean, I guess you don't really have like the extra bit of support to help you, but you need to think about that. Now you're going for the bottom lane gank, I guess. Now, I'm not sure why you went this way, because can I rewind this really quickly? Yeah. Okay, you're here, and you see a bottom lane gank, and you want to gank bottom lane, obviously, by your positioning. But everyone wards either here, or next to where you're standing. So, you either should have run straight down the river here and caught them, because you would have actually got here faster than Sivir, or you could have just ran the way. But going where you went, let's see where you go. You go in the tri-bush, which doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, because you didn't really achieve a lot there. I think you could have easily blown out someone that didn't have a kill on Soraka. So that's one mistake you could have capitalized on a bit there. Yeah, farming it up. Going for that fast level 6, I guess. Again, you're wasting a bit of time here. Now, I would guess, I can't see the chat for some reason. I'd really like to see the chat this game, but I would guess that bottom lane is pinging you and saying, please gank, please gank, please gank, please gank, noob, gank, please, how everyone does in soloqueue. And by the looks of how you're playing, always coming near bottom lane but not actually doing anything bottom lane, is that you're listening too much to peer pressure and not playing your own game, which actually is causing you to sort of fall behind the enemy jungler. So that's something to keep in mind. And here you ganked. Got a kill on Sivir, which is good. And if you're playing off timers, which every good jungler should do, then you know Civia's flash is not going to be up for a long time here. And you have your flash, so hopefully you'll go back to bottom lane pretty soon at level 6 and try and get a kill on him again. That would be the most ideal play right now. Maybe bounce blue was good. Bit of a dodgy blue, but... Okay. That was...
Executed.
I guess you got a kill for free, so why not? Farming top lane, that's a good play. A lot of people made the mistake here. They would have killed wolves instead of farming top lane. However, top lane has a lot more farm, and it doesn't really matter how much you push it out, because it's going to reset as long as you push it properly. Which you kind of did, that was okay, yeah. I would take the wolves. Hopefully you go red buff and then go bottom lane, yeah. That would be the best play. Now, again here, like, you have almost mana for a Q. You would actually have mana for a Q, which is enough to secure a kill. As you know, Civia doesn't have a flash. And you have both your lane partners here. However, they are pretty low. So maybe it was the right idea to recall. It's hard to say really in this kind of situation. But... Brutalizer is...
Blue team's turret has been destroyed.
a questionable choice against this team, because just looking at your team, this is another thing with buying items, especially on a jungler. Looking at your team, you have Karthus who does a lot of damage. You have an Ezreal who's going to do a lot of damage. You have a Jax who does a lot of damage. And you have a Fiora support, but I really don't want to even mention that because it's not worth mentioning. But the real thing you're going to lack on this team is something to initiate and sustain the initiate long enough for them to actually have to hit you. And if you're going to buy a Brutalizer, your first item, without Merc Treads, like, if you bought Merc Treads instead, and then got a Brutalizer, it would be a bit better. But at this rate, if you go for a team fight around Dragon, Anivia's just going to kill you, most likely. Because she's probably the strongest on her team by quite a bit right now. Yeah, she's the highest level with the most CS. So, the Brutalizer, while it does a bit, 15 armor penetration and some cooldown reduction and attack damage, it leaves you a bit too squishy to actually be an effective initiator against their team. And I think a Heart of Gold would probably be in a bit better here. But, let's see what you do here. Now I noticed another thing here, you've got 3 wards, or had 3 wards after you put that ward down. As good as that is, for a low elo or mid elo solo queue game as a jungler, the last thing you really want to be doing is spending your farmed gold on wards for other players, because it's not other players that win you games at low elo, it's you yourself who wins your games. And like, that's only 225 gold, but that's the difference between, like, over a period of time, that's the difference between having that extra magic resist or armor or damage that might have landed you a kill and snowballed you a bit more. So that's something to pay a bit of attention to. Slow this down. Here you backed off correctly because you saw Master Yi, that's a good play. You're going back to farming, which is fine. You should have seen them coming in here, which I presume you did. This is a bit of a, this is dodgy. Okay, good word, that's a really good word. And you're backing off, hopefully. Unless you're going to try a team fight here. As it is 4v3, so probably team fighting would be a good idea. You almost in. But, okay. This is a... Before anything happens here, so I don't really have like hindsight, it's a bit of a Rambo play, because it's Master Yi. I don't know if he's got his ultimate up, but I would presume he does. No. Is that Karthus ultimate? Yeah, Karthus ultimate, so actually this was a good play, because you jumped in on Karthus ultimate, which gives you the benefit of the doubt for anything wrong happening, because Karthus is always going to back you up with extra bit of damage, so I would presume Master Yi dies there. Yeah. And then you backed off, which is fine. Here, I don't know about that. But you got a kill on Civia, so I mean you're doing well, to be honest. And you might get a kill on Striker here. Yeah. So this has all the makings right now of what I would see would be a winnable, carryable game for you, for sure. Pretty much 1v5, with Proffesor helping you, I guess. So I'm interested to see how this went wrong, really.
The team's turret has been destroyed.
Taking tower is always good. I would have liked to force a dragon there, because dragon in soloqueue is a massive amount, because it snowballs all your lanes a little bit with that extra bit of gold and experience. Because even though you're 4-0-1, you're only 600 gold up, which is not a really big amount for your team. And while you don't necessarily need your team, it's helpful to have them a bit stronger than the enemy, just for like the extra bit of damage they can pull off. So I'd like to see you trying to force a dragon here as soon as possible. Okay, that was a bad decision turned into a good decision, so well played there. That was pretty good. Kind of interesting. Yeah, okay. So, I'd like to see what you buy here. Wriggles. Again, this is confusing to me, just because normally you'd buy a Wriggles as your first item, whereas you bought it after Brutalizer, but you didn't. You used the Brutalizer, don't get me wrong, but Wriggles still gives 23 damage, and the Itemization at this point of the game, while it's a significant amount, it probably hasn't netted you many kills. Whereas the Wriggles would have let you do Dragon earlier, and just generally sustain better. However, you did make the Brutalizer work, which I'll give you commendations for. It's a bit of a riskier play, just because if your ganks don't pay off, you fall behind just for the fact that you don't have the Wriggles. And your jungle clear speed is slower because of the no Wriggles. So, something to keep in mind with that. You messed an Ulma up there, which could have landed in 2 or 3 easy kills by the looks of it. So that's something there that could have snowballed you actually harder. Well, this seems okay for now. Okay, you're playing this fight pretty well. Now you're 6-0-2, so you definitely should not have lost this game at this point. Okay, Ezreal gets caught. Almost got a kill on Lahi. That was pretty good. Okay. Now you really need to start building tanky items. I would really like to see a Heart of Gold or some kind of armor or magic resist here. Just because this is the point where you need to balance damage and tankiness to actually be effective. So you got a Heart of Gold, that's correct. I'm glad you got a Heart of Gold because that will give you that extra bit of tankiness that you need. And now, really, like you should be focusing on getting key map objectives, basically, because you are stronger than the enemy jungle by a lot. But the thing is, I just want to talk really quickly about this, that a lot of people don't realise, is you're a lot stronger than the enemy jungle. And you can probably take a Nivea 1v1 right now. But you're trying too much to snowball your team without taking objectives doing it, basically. So like, here you're probably going to go fight mid lane, and while that could be a good idea, you're not... you're going to gain things from it, but it's only going to be like 300, 600 gold worth, whichever. And you're not actually going to get any game objectives by doing it, whereas you could force them to back off. You have Ezreal coming up, you could force them to back off, and then you could take Dragon or their blue buff here. So hopefully you don't fully engage here, because that would be a mistake. Here you fully engaged, and you backed off, okay. But Carl has died, because he probably thought you were coming in, so that's a bit something to be worried about. And you smited... You also smited red hair, which you didn't need to do at all, because you had enough damage to really simply kill it. And if they were to try and take Dragon here, which they easily could, because they're 5 mid, you wouldn't have a smite to try and contest. So that's another thing to think about, because you're using the smite. I guess that's you pinging dragon, so hopefully you get a dragon here. But again, you don't have a smite, so you can't really force a dragon. So you shouldn't be around the dragon area. So you might get. And again, like, this is another thing. Let's backspace. I didn't actually go off. Let's play it at half speed. You forced an engage here in your team because this Ezreal was out and alive, and this Fiora was also not going in. But you forced an engage by ulting in, so your team, they don't have to follow you, but it's like in soloqueue they're gonna follow you if you go in. So you forced an engage here, which is actually a 3v4 engage in the first place because there's 2 people here. So this actually was a really big mistake, which counter-snowballed the game a little bit, because you're feeding the Jace more than it needs to be fed. He got 1 kill. You got hit pretty hard by him. I'm not sure if he died, actually. Maybe not. No, okay. But then, by forcing that engage, you didn't get anything out of it, and you lost Ezreal. You all are low HP, so they could take dragon here. It's all mid tower, and they probably will do. Or they can just kill Fiora. Yeah, so Fiora's dead. And now Jax got killed also, which wasn't directly your fault, but it was indirectly your fault because you caused that whole situation to sort of happen. As harsh as that sounds, because it makes it sound like you've lost the game by yourself, it's not. That's not how I'm trying to put it. I'm trying to put it like you caused that situation by ulting in, and yeah, you can say my team didn't have to follow me, but then why would you ult in 1v4? So your team really does kind of have to follow you, and then you snowboard it onto a mid lane and onto 2 kills for Anivia and a mid tower, which is a pretty big kill. And maybe even a Carthage kill. So here, hopefully you get a cleanup kill. Or you could Rambo in and maybe die. Okay, so again, this has a lot to do with your item choices. You realise it is not paying off at all right now, because you needed to be tankier at this point of the game. You only have a heart of gold, you still don't have a chain armor or anything that's making you tanky. So as much as you're 7-1 and 3, it's not actually like effective play right now, because you're giving kills 1 for 1, maybe 2 for 1 hit, depends how this goes. But you're giving kills 1 for 1 against the enemy team, which is something you really don't want to be doing unless you don't think you're capable of carrying the game and you're just trying to even the game back out again. So really try not to engage on things that you're not going to come off way better off on, because the longer you're dead, the less easy it is to carry a game, basically. So. Okay, so no one died there, that was okay. But 1 for 1 again is not a good trade when you want to be carrying games. That's what you're doing. Now, again, nobody's really killed a dragon yet. Your team's trying to do it now, so hopefully you go and help them. Okay, Jackson's dying a bit. Hopefully you don't go in and help, because that would be the wrong choice. So you went in and got half HP, but your team got dragons, so that's okay. Now your team's trying to back off, that's for sure. Again, this is the point where you need to be farming and just getting tanky, because you're not tanky enough to Rambo in. So this is also a really common mistake I see a lot of players make. Like when I'm playing on Smurfs at like 1300, 1400 ELO, the game after 20 minutes sort of derives into a ARAM 5v5 mid game for no reason at all. I think it's because they see pro players hang around Baron Pit a lot, and they're scared that if they're not on mid, then the enemy team's going to somehow do Baron in 5 seconds. whereas it's not actually the case. So this is definitely something that's to think about. Like, you could be pushing bottom lane here, or top lane, or taking the jungle, but you're just hanging around. This is a waste of time. Again, still hanging around mid. Gonna try and take the jungle players, but your team got engaged on at mid. Okay. Now I would guess here that you're probably too hungry for a kill. However, there's 3 of their team mid and 3 of you here, so you might get this kill, but if you chase it anywhere past sort of the next push, it's too far, and you might end up dying for it. So, but yeah, like I said, like you're playing too desperate right now. You don't have to be doing this at all. This is just really desperate play, and it's a 3v4, so you definitely can't blame your team because no one can win 3v4 unless you're really overfed, and you're the only overfed person on your team, really. So Jax dies, and good smoke shield. But you died as well here. And you got back out. So again, like, however much you might want to blame your team, that was actually your fault, because, well, partially your fault, I guess, just because you went in too far. Like, you're getting too like eager to end the game because you thought, oh, I'm fed early, so I'm going to end the game now. But in reality, Jace is also as fed as you now because you've thrown away a couple of kills, and that Anivia's getting really strong as well. So just you're too eager to sort of end the game. Don't be afraid to just play the game out. Even you might think your team's awful or your team's bad, but don't be afraid to play the game out, making correct game decisions, because right now you're actually throwing the game away by engaging on fights that are mathematically not in your favor, and you're still engaging. So try not to do that, because that is actually a really big throw. And this Jace is just getting monstrous right now, which is all, like I said, it's all like in part to some of the plays you've made this game. As much as it's your teammates' fault, it's also your fault. The surrender mode comes out for your team. This is the point of the game where it goes downhill, I guess. And again, you're not really getting tanky. You still only have 133 armor because you don't have a chain vest or anything. So you need to be more tanky than this at this point of the game. I think the brutalizer was a pretty big mistake. So again, this is probably something you shouldn't engage on. Not too hard. Yeah, okay, and you back off. So people are dying all game. Now, realistically at this point in the game, the chances of you winning a 5v5 is pretty small. Because your team is definitely weaker than their team because of not taking game objectives. They have, how many towers do they have? Is that tower dead? No. So you have like 4 towers alive, and they have fucking like every single tower alive apart from 1. That's a lot of gold. Like, that's a massive amount of team gold. So you're down like 7k gold. So you're not going to win team fights right now. So this is where you should be trying to split push or catch people off guard. But like, split pushing is probably a better alternative. Here, again, like, as much as an engage, it looks like it could engage. It's actually not, because you're engaging 4v2. Like, yes, they're a bit out of position, but it's still 4v2, and your teammates Fiora support. So really, it's not even 4v2; it's actually 4v1. So we'll actually see how this goes. But I predict that you'll end up dying and maybe taking 1 more with you. So you got to sit there, and you might even live. Wow. Live. Okay. But then Carthus dies anyway. Oh my god. Clutch plays! Okay, that was actually really well played by you. And Jax might get it. I would guess. Yeah, he's gonna come there. No? What's he doing? Okay, you want to give it a shoulder kill maybe? What is going on? Okay, Jax kills him. Now, yeah, you played that really well. I'll give you props on that for sure. Is it like, your clutch gameplay can be really, really good because you've made a lot of clutch plays this game. It's mostly your mindset and being like eager to win games that's cost you this game and I guess some other games. So just try and calm down when you're playing. It's not a race to finish a game, it's a race to win the game. So just keep that in mind, kind of thing. And like, you built an Aegis here, which yeah, it's okay. Every team needs an Aegis, but it doesn't give you the key stats you really need against this team. Because you're still I don't want to say weak, but the tankiness just isn't there, kind of thing. Like, you don't have a Randuin's, you don't have a big magic resistance, like, resist item. And you're just kind of in between everything, but not anything. You don't really do that much damage because you only have a Brutalizer and a Wriggles for damage. You don't have that much MR because you only have an Aegis. And you don't have that much armor because you only have a Wriggles and an Aegis for armor. So I mean, I think rather than an Aegis, probably a Chain Vest and a Negatron Cake would have actually suited you better this game, because it actually gives you more raw tankiness. And at the moment, your team's not really fighting with you anyway, so as much as Aegis is good for a team, it's only good for a 5v5, and if I had your team this game, I would not be wanting to fight a 5v5. So that's something to keep in mind, item choices. And again, you're pushing mid for some reason. I guess they got a tower, which is fair enough. You got a free tower here. You should go for Baron or top tower. Baron is a bit of a risky one. I'd like to see us pinging it, but can't because spectators. But okay, this is a very risky Baron. Look at the enemy team chasing Ezreal for some reason, and you get a free Baron, so... Okay. Fiora gets caught, that's the least of your worries. You should not care. No, you should not care. Like, okay, this is where you lost the game. This is 100% where you lost the game here. This right here, you lost the game. Right here. Because you have a Baron buff, you took it, but they chased Ezreal to get away, so Ezreal's in your base, Jax is in your base. So you're 3v5, and like, Baron buff is good, but it's not that good. So, I would honestly say, this point of the game is where you give up your chance of winning the game. Because you actually had no reason to engage there. No one was even low, like everyone's full HP, and they have Soraka here. So you engaged on nothing, with a Fiora support with you, and a Karthus who has half his mana pool, and no ultimate. And I would guess you die because they're all on you. And Master Yi is in the jungle, fine, but he's the least Fiora is right now. So so Jace is maybe gonna kill you. Yeah. And okay, Jace does die for it, but then you're the powerfulest member of the enemy of the team. Like, you are the powerfulest member of your team by quite a bit right now, I would guess, apart from possibly Jax. But their Anivia's doing pretty well now, and their Sivia's doing okay. He has damage, and like, that was a pretty bad trade, I think. Now Master Yi's here doing his thing. It's not gonna be enough for this, is it? And they might get a tower here. Even though you have Baron buff, they might get a tower, just because of that engage. Okay, so it looks like you got off a bit lucky there because they didn't actually get anything. And again, you've built a Phage now, which is really not going to do anything for you, because it's not you don't really have an issue with sticking on targets, you have an issue with surviving. And a Phage, yes, it gives like 225 HP, but that's not going to be enough to survive right now. So, again, you really need to Mega Truncate right now, because Anivia will kill you really quick. So, something to do with magic resist would have been good at this point of the game. And they get another dragon, so they're solidifying their lead a bit here. I would still like to see you split pushing a bit more, or buying wards so that you can split push. And again, like, I guess this is okay. This is 4v5. This is probably a decent engage. Yeah. So you get maybe 2 kills. Nah, 1 kill. That was a good engage. I respect that. That was 4v5, so it was a good engage because Sivir was top. So if you get a tower, that's good. It's a good step back into the game. This is maybe going a little bit far here. This could be really bad. Okay, so Carthus dies. Jace is running. Jace is getting kills. Yeah. So let me back to base quick. Judging by this, I guess you can see back things. So, looking at this, like, you should see this point in the game and you should think, okay, we're in their base almost, but we don't have an Ezreal, so it's 4v4. And their 4 is better than your 4 probably. So you can't really blame anybody here because you didn't ping back. Nobody pinged back here. Okay, everyone should ping back. And I guess that leads into snowball again.
Team double kill.
And then Jace is just monstrous at this point in the game. And I mean, in a 5v5 now, there's no chance of you winning. You ultimate, and again, you're ultiming onto Jace, which, it's okay, but I don't know, we'll see how this happens. Okay, so you get a Jace kill, that's good. And then you're eager as hell to get the Soraka. Now you're recalling to stop Sivir, I presume, which is good. That's a good play. Now, at this stage of the game, I'm sure you have the goal for it. You should be buying an Oracle, so your team just got wrecked top lane. Okay. Maybe Sivir's split push wasn't important enough to back off, but that's a hard call to make. I think, in general, it was probably a good idea to back off and get the split push. It's a pity your team fell over and died. They did okay. I mean, they got kill. Yeah, again, that's hard. You need an Oracle at this point again, because Baron's going to go pretty soon. I'm sure you have the goal for it, so. You bought a Frozen Mallet instead of Oracles, which, okay. You might actually get Jace, which is really good if you do. You get Jace, for sure. Okay, you get Jace. Now this time definitely, you should have ulted here. You should have ulted the Striker. You have to. Okay. You ulted Sivir instead, which is fine. You killed the Sivir, I presume. Yeah. And maybe the Yi, but yeah, Yi's dead off. Now, you really lived with Meditate? Oh my god. The over-eagerness is killing again. You flashed? Yeah, you flashed. That's fine. Flash for a striker. You should get striker. Yeah, okay. So you get striker. Now you should be going Baron. This should be spamming pings on Baron. Because it's your only chance you have of winning this game. One inhibitor down is nothing. You shouldn't be defending. You should be going for Baron, I think, at this point again. Nobody's going. Someone ping Dragon. That's definitely not what you want to be doing right now at this point. Definitely not. So that should have been a Baron. If you took control of your team there, that should have been a Baron. This is like where you need to have a bit of leadership. You need to have leadership at this point of the game, because if you don't have leadership, your team sort of crumbles apart and makes bad decisions. And you could have led your team into a free Baron there, which possibly might have changed the outcome of this game. It's hard to say, but having a Baron is always good. So now here, you really don't want to engage until a Baron fight. The last thing you want to do is engage before a Baron fight. So Ezra died. It's unfortunate. But you really, really don't want to engage. Really don't want to engage. So you're playing correct here, you're not engaging. And hopefully you don't have a Rambo moment, decide you've got, and go for an engage. So, let's see how this fight split up really quickly. Jace is killing 3 people. Sivir is pushing, which questionable. And it's you and who's your teammate here? Fiora. You and Fiora versus Olivia, Master Yi, and Sivir. So, I'm not actually sure who you almost. I need to have a look at that really quick. Because it's a really important thing in these team fights. You should be trying to take Jace out super quickly, because he doesn't actually have any armor, so you still do full damage to him, and so does most of your team. So, hopefully you didn't almost someone apart from Jace. Let's see. Where is Jace? Jace is here. This is where you almost. Jace is really, really out of position there, like super out of position. So, you actually almost passed him onto Olivia to get the Olivia kill, which left your Karthus completely open pretty much to a Jace kill. And trading Karthus for Olivia at this point in the game is probably not what you want to be doing. So, it's a mixed match fight. You actually came out on top, which is actually really surprising, but okay. You should be backing off. You stayed in and died. Okay, you live to fight another day, I guess.
Shut down.
This game is going to end pretty soon. I wonder if you win or lose. You have the potential to win this game at this point, as long as you catch it overextending. Or catch it Baron. Whichever the case may be. And you still don't have an Oracles, or a potion of any kind. At this point in the game, you really need to be thinking about buying an Oracle or a green potion, or a red potion. Because it's basically the case that whoever gets Baron wins at this point in the game. If you don't have an Oracle to clear Baron walls, you're reducing the chances that you win the game, just by not having an Oracle. And Fiora's not going to buy Oracles, I presume, because this Fiora is a bit special. So. Okay. Who got caught? Jax got caught, but he's got a wall down to jump to. And you should see this, because you haven't actually, you've used your map, but you haven't jumped to anybody yet, so you should see that this Jax is going to get away, and definitely not engage on that team. Because looking at how they're like lining up, if you jump anywhere, you're going to get smashed really quickly. So hopefully you don't go in here. This would be a massive mistake, I think. You went in right in the middle of 5 people. I'm not sure about that. Jax might live, but now again, you've thrown the game away a little bit here, because you're going to die soon. Oh, Jesus, how do you live? Okay, you did live, fair enough. But then Carlos came from behind and died, and you ran away. It's fine if you wanted to be, you should run away, obviously, that's fine. But the engagement, you didn't need to engage her. Fighting 4v5 in your base is better than fighting 4v5 outside of your base without a Jax. And I guess they just push and win. That's random. Okay, so closing thoughts. You need to be really careful how you engage in solo queue, because your team 99.9% of the time is going to follow your Nocturne engages, and if you make 2 or 3 bad engagements like you did in this game, it can snowball the game to the point where you actually just have a hard time winning, however ahead you are. You did get a Rambo into the end of the game, but it could have been a lot earlier, because you didn't really need the frozen mallet to do a lot. The Rambo would have actually gave you more effective HP against their team, and while the movement speed slow is nice, a red buff is basically the same thing. At the end of the day, it's enough to catch people, which is what you want, and the Randuin's aura also is pretty nice to catch people. Thinking about what else happened this game, you could have ganked a little bit more bottom lane, but that wasn't really the biggest deal. You did snowball pretty well. Brutalizer first was a bad decision. It should have been the Wriggles first, but I'm not sure if you knew that or not. And in general, nobody really tried to Baron this game. And the one time you did get Baron was good. But you should try and lead your team more when you're a jungler. Like, if you're playing jungle in solo queue, I think it's the role with the most leadership requirements, because you have control over basically every game objective early game. For the first 20 minutes, nobody should really be taking a tower or a dragon or like a Baron without you. And so you need to have more like communicative leadership skills. Obviously, without seeing chat, it's really hard to say if you tried or not. That's just in general a good rule to follow, is you need to communicate a lot if you're playing jungle. You can go to every lane basically early game, get a gank in or a flash, or take a tower, which puts your team ahead by like 1,000 gold every time you take a tower. You didn't really try and get any dragons either, because you kept smiting red buff, which after you get any sort of items which help you stay at the same HP as you start red buff with, you don't really need to use smite on red buff, and it's a bit of a waste of smite honestly, because having smite up is the difference between losing a dragon or a baron and saving 3 seconds on red buff, which, you know, 3 seconds on red buff at the end of the day is honestly not that big of a deal. So that's another thing to keep in mind, I guess. You really don't want to smite red buff. And I think that's about all I can think of, apart from anything else I mentioned. You definitely need a bit of magic resist, because Anivia's damage is absolutely absurd. I mean, chest 5 and 85 AP. At the same time, they do have like 3 physical damage, so I think that's about all I can say. I mean, obviously you had a Fiora support, which isn't the most ideal situation for a team comp, and you did play well this game, I'll give you that. You had really good gameplay and clutch gameplay decisions, but your overall decision making did maybe cost you the game, and if you had a better team, you possibly would have won, but at the same time you could have done quite a bit to make the game easier for yourself and hopefully land up in winning the game. Thanks for watching this video, and hopefully I'll make some more like this.